Remember my previous video? I measured my everyday driving in city areas, and it's pretty surprising how much range I'm actually getting. In this video, I'm going to compare that with the range I'm getting when I went on a road trip, as well as the EV charging brands and stations that I've used. Hi everyone, welcome to another Sky Perspective video. My family and I went to New South Wales' Ballina for holiday. Driving non-stop will take us about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It takes about 200 kilometers, which means one full charge of my BYD Seal Dynamic should be able to cover it. We packed and stuffed everything into our BYD Seal, and we even made full use of the second under-storage compartment of the boot. Happily, we jumped into our BYD Seal and I can't start my BYD Seal. It's dead and refused to start. Pretty sure most of you would have watched this video. If not, go over and watch it to see how I revived my BYD Seal from safe mode. Luckily, I managed to revive my BYD Seal and we are on our way. We had a great time for the entire trip, and without chronologically going through my entire trip, I'll just share my road trip EV driving range and charging experience. So as we head down to Ballina, we stopped halfway at Robina Town Centre, Gold Coast, because it's convenient. There is a fast charging station and it's near the main highway, and there are food and amenities. This is where I got to know another EV charging brand called EVIE. At that time, I was using Elangar and ChargeFox as they are the two common brands in Brisbane. So yet again, I'm installing another EV charging app on my phone and surrendering all my private details and credit card information. Luckily, this EV mobile app is really easy to use and it's showing us the right information at the right time. I managed to get it charging in about 10 minutes, including installing the app and everything. So by the time we drove from Brisbane to Robina Gold Coast, we had travelled 82 kilometers and only used about 15% of my BYD Seal's battery. We paid the money and put it to charge anyway because we don't know if we are going to get charging station for the rest of our journey to Ballina. Now, comparing these highway driving conditions with my previous city driving conditions from my previous video, we are getting slightly more distance. City driving takes about 21% and the highway driving takes about 15% to cover approximately the same 83 kilometers of distance. After we left Robina, we drove straight to Ballina. The distance travelled is 107 kilometers and we have used 25% of the battery. Once again, we are getting a bit more range compared to my city driving if we were to compare the similar 75% battery state of charge. After we settled down at our lovely apartment, the Grand View apartment, we went to check out the charging station at Ballina Central Shopping Centre. On Google Map, there is a ChargeFox charging station over there. But when I drove over there, instead of finding a charging station, this is what I found. Yes, of many times they had to upgrade and renovate the charging station when I came to Ballina for holidays. So, our next best DC charging station would be at the BP petrol station near West Ballina. Luckily, driving around Ballina does not use much of the battery because coastal area land is flat and the traffic is very light. So on the second day, we went to play mini golf. And while passing by the BP petrol station we found yesterday, we put our BYD Seal to charge. So by then, the second evening, our BYD Seal was at 64% state of charge. Once again, I have to install yet another EV charging app and surrendering all my private information because this station brand is BP Pulse, yet another brand. There was a bit of light rain at that time, but we still went ahead, and given that we are already at the station, we might as well put it to charge. This BP Pulse charging station is good and fast. 50 kilowatt of charging power, and it took about 40 minutes to charge up to 100% full. For the rest of our holiday, we didn't have to worry about charging our BYD Seal until we are heading home. We went to quite a few places and ate lots of very nice food. And on the last day, when we are heading back to Brisbane, we've decided to stop by Pacific Fair. This time round, we left the Grandview apartment with 84% battery state of charge. And by then, we have driven 62.7 kilometers since we charged it up to 100% the day before. Notice this time round, I have set the regenerative braking to standard instead of high, just to see if it makes any difference to the range we are getting. So by the time we reach Pacific Fair Gold Coast, we had covered 114.5 kilometers, and we have used about 30% of the battery. On our way to Pacific Fair, I'm very happy to see on the map that the charging station brand is EV. That means I don't need to install yet another app. The EV mobile app is very good at showing us if the charging station is occupied. On our way there, we can see on the app if the two stations are available or not. We were lucky, and there was an empty station at the time we got there, so we don't need to wait or queue up. For the record, throughout the trip, we haven't had to queue up a single time to charge our EV, and this is during school holiday. So we are pretty lucky. Something interesting I noticed at this Pacific Fair car park is there are like 10 to 12 Tesla charging stations, and all of them are occupied. And there are even dedicated lots for EV queuing up to charge. That's when I realized I might be super lucky not having to wait and queue up at all, because there are only 2 non-Tesla charging stations, which is this 2 EV charging station. After putting my BYD Seal to charge, we went for another yummy lunch, and this time, this is the inconvenient part. While I was having my lunch, I noticed the charging was about to complete. Out of courtesy and good EV charging etiquette, I had to stop eating my lunch halfway and walk all the way back to the car park and shift my car so other people could charge. So for this session, it took 48 minutes, and I charged up 32 kilowatt hours of the battery, charging from 53% to full. So for those of you who are still wondering if having an EV in Australia is good enough for a road trip, I think we should be alright if we are travelling along the populated coastal areas of Australia. My BYD Seal Dynamic does not have a lot of range, but throughout the trip, I've never experienced the battery dropping below 50%. Traveling inland might be another story. We shouldn't have any issues traveling across the 4 large cities in Australia. So these are my statistics for my day-to-day city driving and my road trip. Pause the video to study them if you like. I put in a lot of effort to make this video. Your simple gesture of liking and sharing this video will help the EV community grow, as it allows this video to spread to more people who are planning to switch over to an EV. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next video.